Hello, guys, and welcome to the Athletes Hub. Today is not a good day for our Ghanaian viewers and subscribers. We've been knocked out of the World Cup, so this video is not going to be long. Just going to be a basic reaction on what happened, some of the things in the game, and ultimately at the end we'll be judging if Carlos Queiroz he needs to remain till next year or beyond his current contract because there's a lot of things to discuss. I I I honestly don't know what to say about this Colombia game. It's a painful defeat. On paper, it was just 1-0. It would look like it was a tight game. It would look like we weren't really troubled by the opposition, and they just found one goal in the back of our net. But watching the game at 1:30, watching the repeats later, it was far from that. We were outplayed from the first minute to the last. Colombia were all over us. It's like they knew our game plan. They knew how to match us boot to boot. It's like nothing went our way tactically. We kind of made the game too easy for them, and they capitalized. I mean, even looking at the first goal, just came from a basic turnover. They managed to get the ball out wide, put it in the box. I mean, before the game, their coach made it clear that they are going to try and break down our deep block with crosses, with long shots, putting bodies in the box. So we should have anticipated this. So if you go and in the first 15, 20 minutes, you turn over the ball near your box, I mean, I, I don't know who you are going to blame. And I've tried my best this World Cup because of because of some issues. Maybe I'll discuss in another video. I've tried my best not to do these player FC stuff. My player. I don't really care. I just backed all the 26 players who went to the USA, who got us out of the group stage, who got us into the round of 32. So I backed them regardless of what happened, and they've they've done an okay job. But the game against Colombia was very painful to watch. We made it too easy for them. We made it too easy for them. And we'll get into that later in the game. So we are going to go through just a few player performances to discussing. Um, overall, I don't think it was a bad game at all. When it comes to how we did, because our game plan from the first minute it was going to be so obvious: defend, and when we get a chance, we move the ball up the pitch. But Colombia kind of outwitted us. They knew how we play, and they basically gave us the ball for stretches, and they waited for us to get near them, and that's when they started pressing. That's when they started closing down, and we were panicking because just like in the Croatia game, very similar pattern. They let us have the ball until like just after the center circle. That's when they'll close you down. That's when they'll try and trap you and win the ball. And Croatia goals from that. And you can see Colombia also did their due diligence when it came to the tactics. Looking at player performances, whew, it's going to be very tough. Losing Marvin Senaya early in the game was a real blow because he's been our most consistent performer at the tournament. Going up against Luis Diaz was not going to be easy, and he held his own in the first few actions. Then he just went down with the injury. Then everything just went so bad. Ali Duseidu came on, and no disrespect to him at all, but it was a very poor performance. I understand that he hasn't touched the ball for a minute at this World Cup. Um, he's been kind of out of favor at his club side post January, so there was a lot of rust in his body. So he had to get to grips quickly in the game, with almost no warm up, with almost no previous cameos, nothing. He just had to go into the game raw, and we could see the few things lacking when it came to his match sharpness and match fitness. But regardless, he played his role. We're out of the tournament. It's not really a bad thing, but I it's a difficult one to take. When it comes to Lucasen, him starting today's game was kind of a surprise because I don't see what exactly he did against Croatia to merit another start. But he was. I don't like the fact that Carlos, he broke up a consistent pairing between Jonas Ajeti and Jerome Opoku. It kind of looked disjointed on the pitch when you saw the actions on the right hand side. Ajeti was very good at covering from Senaya, even though Senaya could hold his own. But when it was Lucasin and Alidu, I mean, their mix up literally was the reason why the ball got into the box for that goal. They were supposed to be marking different players and everything. Um, Gideon was fine. I mean, we didn't really have any extraordinary performers. And going to the midfield, this is a serious issue the Black Stars have to look at going forward. We kind of don't have a midfielder that can stand on his 2 feet, hold the ball, dictate the game, play those line breaking passes, give those progressive passes to the attackers. So we are kind of handicapped when it comes to midfielders recently. We have to literally play three defensive midfielders so that we can get any sort of rhythm going in the middle of the park. And unfortunately for Kwesi Sibo, um, I had been saying it before this tournament that if all our other midfield options were fit, he shouldn't have gone to the World Cup. And I mean, bravo for him to his display against England, where he was supposed to mark the likes of Anderson and Bellingham and Rice. He did the job diligently, he closed them down, tracked their markers, he tracked their runs everywhere. But in games against Croatia and Colombia, where they let us intentionally see a bit of the ball, he struggled because that's not his game. When you put him on the ball, you are kind of exposing his limited ability. Even at club level, he's not trusted with the ball in the build up. He's not trusted in the ball in the middle third. His is just to win the ball back. His is just to circulate. And against Colombia, those flaws were made very, very apparent. Thomas Partey, I mean, he bounced back from the Croatia game where he was absolutely terrible. He bounced back. He showed today that he's one of our better players, and we need to surround him with better options going forward. But that that alone is a whole different conversation. Now looking at the attack, uh, ah, it was difficult to watch. They weren't getting service. They weren't getting balls in behind. I mean, they had to work with scraps literally. They didn't have sequences where an attacker will have the ball and he'll have a supporting run, he'll have an overlap. They were just supposed to create something out of nothing. And to their credit, against Colombia, Antoine Semenyo, he did his job. He really he came to the plate. He played well. I wish he would have scored or given an assist, but he played his heart out. He looked like the only attacker on the field who was fighting for something. He was chasing down balls. He was making something out of nothing. He was actually taking on players, which is something we haven't seen him do since his Bournemouth days. I mean, he tried everything in his locker, but it just wasn't meant to be for him. He needs people around him, for these 1-2 passes. He needs people around him who can find him when he runs in behind. When he's forced to come deep and take the ball, you are removing the best part of his game. But he had to sacrifice and do it against Colombia. Yeah, there were situations where he got into the box, he put in a beautiful cross, and there was nobody to meet it. Inaki Williams very quiet once again. It's just reflective of his whole time since he switched to Ghana. He's not been nothing spectacular. You can argue that his fit is bad. That's your point. You can argue that the ability has declined. It's also another point. But against Colombia, he had some decent actions in an overall very flat game for him. But there was a moment where he put the ball in the box. You could see that, yeah, this is how he plays at club level. But once again, there was no striker in the box. So now we are coming to the man who led the line for us against Colombia, Jordan Ayew. I mean, we've done a whole video on him um, after the England game when we were discussing if he's holding Ghana back or if Ghana don't need him. You can go watch that video and take a look for yourself. But I think after this morning's game, everybody will have come to the consensus. I think it might be time for him. It might be time for him. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he's the worst footballer in the world. But against Colombia, when it came to fulfilling his role, doing what he had to do, he failed at it miserably. Just like in the opening games, the referee wasn't going for the foul baiting. The referee wasn't calling the fouls, and he was still going down trying to win them. And for some reason, every free kick in the opponent's half, he went to take the ball. He went to try and take it. Most of them were off targets. Most of them went to the touchline. I struggle to see who can defend his performance for today's game. And now for the sort of major topic when it comes to all this, Carlos Queiroz. It's I'm it's a very dicey topic, honestly, because he's done his job. He got us to the round of 32, which is the first knockout round. We made it. That's a fact. It's put there. He qualified us for the first knockout round of the 2026 World Cup. You can't take that away from him. He got 4 points. He kept 2 clean sheets. You can't take that away from him. But now, the discussion from now is going to be what happens next with him. Do we keep him around because his contract is up next month, I believe, according to reports? Do we keep him around? That's the biggest talking point that's going to be in Ghana for the next couple of weeks. Do we keep him around? Carlos Queiroz, he's come in, he's done the work. We've seen the pros, we've seen the cons over 5 games, and I the thing is that most Ghanaians would like to see more. They would like to see more of him. They would like to see more of players that he's actually selected. And when it comes to that, I'm on the fence because I can't 100% say he'll do better if he's allowed to pick his own players and pick his own style and everything. And also, I will admire that he was able to get us playing the way he did when he had a bunch of players he had only seen on tactical videos from his technical team. I'm just going to run down a few things, point out a few things what Carlos did during the tournament concerning the team, and you guys can tell me what you think at the end of the video. One thing I disliked about Carlos Queiroz' approach to Ghana games at this World Cup, he was a bit too defensive. He was a bit too defensive. It worked against England. The game plan went perfectly. But when teams got onto us, especially like Croatia, especially like Colombia, they knew that they just had to give us the ball and allow us to come up the pitch, then win it off us and cause trouble. And against Croatia, it caused a goal. Against Colombia, it also caused a goal. So when it comes to that, like Colombia coach, his coach said, they dropped back a little bit and gave us the ball, and that was how they won the game. Looking at that, it's going to be difficult to justify if Queiroz should be in charge for us going forward because in the AFCON qualifiers, in the World Cup qualifiers, in whatever going on in the next year, next 2 years, we are going to be the quote unquote big team against smaller teams in this qualifiers in the CAF region. That means we will have most of the ball. And with what we've seen at this World Cup, it's going to be very interesting to say the least on what a Carlos Queiroz team will look like on the ball because we've only seen off the ball stuff, and the 10% we've seen with his teams with the ball, it's not been impressive. And another thing about Carlos Queiroz, where I am a bit skeptical. I'm not going to say I've not seen the man. I've not been in contact with him. I've not spoken to him before, but it's since his Manchester United days, it's been something where his whole coaching career, he's stuck with experience. He's stuck with players he trusts, and that can sometimes come at the expense of youthful players. And we can see this at the World Cup. Um, Augustin Boache didn't play a single minute. Christopher Bones didn't play a single minute. There were a few players who were dropped right after the group stage. Like Ajite, if Isahaku and Nyama also had to come off the bench. He went for experience. flat out, because Iñaki Williams hadn't done enough to be starting games at this World Cup, but he did. It just goes to show you that he wants people who can deliver his instructions on the pitch, people who are they have their heads on their shoulders. I mean, and his quote after the game where he mentioned the age and experience of the teammates, it kind of puts me off, because it's going to be difficult to defend him continuously playing guys like Jordan, guys like Iñaki, guys like I don't know, Sibo. It's going to be difficult to justify all that. And just a brief one on Jordan Ayew. I don't want to make it look like I'm piling on him, but genuinely, what was he doing against Colombia? He wasn't winning fouls. His set pieces were terrible. He couldn't control the ball. He was always turning it over. He didn't create a chance. Barely linked up with his teammates, but he lasted 75 minutes on the pitch. I Queiroz, man, you have to give us something to believe. You gave us something to believe, but with playing Jordan and you in each of your 4 games at this World Cup, man, what genuinely what are you doing? I dislike putting the blame on one person. I'm not going to see our whole campaign fail because of Jordan, but if you have a striker like him who's supposed to bring others into the game, who's supposed to win you foul, and he's not doing that, what is his use? What is his essence? Honestly. And just here are just a few of the statistics. Come on. 4 big chances created, 2 goals scored in the whole tournament. We had six shots, 1.0 shots on target per game at this World Cup. And both of them ranked us near the bottom. I think shots on target were 47th out of the 48 teams at the World Cup. And possession, we were in the lower 40s. I mean, we all knew that's what Carlos Queiroz was going to give us, but with our team, knowing our opposition, I think we could have done better. And looking at this, it makes you very skeptical of what Carlos will actually do in the future. So it also puts a question mark on if we should trust him long term. But ultimately, ultimately, um, Carlos has done this job. You can't take that away from him. 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw in a group of England, Panama, Croatia. We only lost 1-0 to Colombia. On paper, I mean, the stats will tell you everything else. But looking at that, I'll beat my chest and say we overperformed at this tournament. We should be proud, even though it was disappointing. The football was disappointing. But Carlos has showed us something. In this short time he's been in charge of the team, he showed that the past 2-3 years have been kind of wasted on people who were not supposed to be given the chance in the first place. Carlos organized us. He picked the right players sometimes. He introduced new players into the fold from the old pool that barely got a chance. And we went to the World Cup where we made Ghana proud. We got a draw against England, beat Panama. We're not far from convincing the latter games in the tournament, but ultimately he's done his job. But is him doing his job enough for us to give him a new long-term contract? Is he doing his job enough for us to give him the next 2 AFCONs? I mean, it's down to you, the viewers. After watching this game, after watching this World Cup, do you think Carlos Queiroz should still be Ghana Black Stars coach?